Right, so we've got 2 comedies, question mark.
Well, yeah, one not that funny, the
Right,
other
I'm going to go
really
with...
not that funny.
I'm guessing you're referring to The End of the Effing World, which was on
The End of the
Channel...
Effing World is not funny, but it is a comedy. But it is also good.
Oh, you enjoyed it?
Oh, I enjoyed it, but it was
Okay.
not. It was not. There was. Okay, it was funny, but yeah, go on,
Okay,
describe it.
I'll do the joke.
Do your best.
So this is another... Oddly, we've got a lot of ones here this week that are all available now to watch. This is all on all 4. The first episode was aired Channel 4 on Wednesday night, I believe. No, Tuesday night. It features Alex Lawther from the Black Mirror episode Shut Up and Dance last year. He plays James, this sort of weird teenage boy. I think they're both meant to be 17. He's having fantasies about killing people, and he's looking for his first victim. He comes across Alyssa, played by Jessica Barden, who's this sort of girl who's a bit of an outsider. Doesn't like the fact that she doesn't feel like she fits in. I really like that gag early on when she's sitting with her friends and
the phone.
And it's like, you're sitting right in front of me. What are you doing? And I was just like, that does feel really true to life.
I love the response. I love the response from the girl. It's free. I love that as well. Her
mum has married Kurt from Teachers, and they've got a new family. He seems to be always sleazing over her a little bit, and then eventually they sort of form a relationship based on the fact that he decides that she's going to be his murder victim. And at the end of the first episode, they go on the run after Kurt from Teachers basically tells her. So they steal his dad's car. He punches his dad in the face, and then they sort of head off for the open road. What did you make to this then, Gary? Because it was a bit of an odd...
It was an odd choice, and I suppose I didn't know too much about it, other than, there'd been a little bit of thing about the controversy about the title. It's different. That is definitely true. It's a lot of it is inside their head, so you're getting their thoughts, which I know that's a trope that sometimes we don't like because it doesn't get you sort of interacting with each other. But actually, the way in which this works, because they're both different and sort of out there, it works because you're hearing their inner thoughts as a way to describe how they to get them.
You get sort of a peep show, don't you? And it's nice. The gag sort of like in the beginning of the second episode, the first scene you see is the car's on fire and they're standing there. He hasn't got a shirt on, and he's saying, "Do you think it will explode?" And then she says, "It's not a film." And then in her head, she thinks, "If it was a film, we'd be American." And I like the sort of the rhythm of the dialogue. It's all well done, and they've got Alex Lawther and Jessica Barden have got very good chemistry, I think. And it's based apparently. It is based on a comic, apparently, which you can sort of see. You can sort of see this in like comic strip form, couldn't you?
Yeah,
a little bit.
You would say this is definitely a dark comedy. I mean, there are a few laugh out loud moments. I do love the bit where he's sitting there with the knife under the cushion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to laugh at those bits, but you do.
It's black and she's gallows humor.
Gallows humor, yeah. She's very crude, and he is just so suppressed that he doesn't even really understand it.
Subservient almost, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it gets on. I do think this was brave and bold, and I liked it.
Different, yeah. No, I enjoyed it as well. The fact they're only like 20-minute episodes really helps as well.
Yeah, it moved along at a very fast pace.
I've always been a fan of Jessica Barden's. I think she's a great actress. I loved her in Murder. I think was that last year? I think it was.
Yeah, no, might have been last year or the year before. Yeah.
Yeah. And Alex Lawther, I think, is a sort of star on the rise. He's very good in The Imitation Game as well. He plays the young Benedict Cumberbatch in that. So, two really good young actors. Interesting premise, and it's you can, as I say, you can now see it's like a comic book adaptation. It's got that sort of
now that you said that, it really does fit. So I didn't know that before, so that really does fit. So
and we're both going to stick with this, unlike I assume Bounty Hunters.
Oh boy, this is basically a way in which to get Jack Whitehall on television.
Yeah, I don't know,
and it's written by the same people who wrote Bad Education, which is a real shame because that was good.
Jack Whitehall and Freddie Syborn. The tone, the style, the fact you've got like an American and a British sort of storyline. Yes. It reminded me a lot of You, Me and the Apocalypse in that regard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good point. The
character in it, as Gary alluded to, is Jack Whitehall, who plays Barnaby, a sort of eternal student whose father runs an antique shop. His father. We have to suppose in this that Jack Whitehall's parents are Sophie Thompson and Robert Lindsay, which I struggled to buy.
They are, yeah, they are, yeah. So yeah, a bit unbelievable.
His father has an accident, which leads him to have to go and sort of do a bit of an inventory at his shop. While he's at the shop, he gets interrupted by someone who says, "Your dad was going to stay,
buy this statue.
Buy the statue from me." He finds all the money that he assumes was for this statue purchase, and he then sort of has the transaction, then worries about it, and then soon after learns that the statue he's bought is like a something from Syria. It's like been taken by Islamic terrorists and found its way into the country, and sort of everyone is sort of after these statues and this money. You've got the police on the case, almost like the jihadis who are after it as well.
Yeah.
Jack Whitehall's sister, who's just come back from America, says, "Oh, I met this bounty hunter woman, played by Rosie Perez, who she met after she was having a thing with some sort of Mexican drug lord who was shot, and she ended up covered in... She shot him, didn't she, the Rosie Perez character?
Yes.
And she ended up covered in his blood, and that's their sort of connection.
Yeah.
She's trying to... Because of this was something that... Like, one of the guys who died was this really sort of influential drug lord, runs, like, one of the cartels. So she needed to get out of... the US, and I loved that gag where she's like, "Where can I get to for $200?" And it's like Cleveland, Ohio, or the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
And I love the fact that she goes. I love the fact that she goes.
I'll go with the Congo.
Democratic Republic. Cleveland is so bad.
That was the only gag in the thing that made me laugh. I think that was the good sort of. That just happens to be at the airport at the same time she gets this phone call, so ends up in the UK and tries to help Barnaby and his family, and there's a big reveal at the end that this isn't the first of these statues that his dad...
No, I like that. That was the only other bit that I quite liked, was that he went down to the warehouse because this one woman has been demanding a piece of antique furniture, and in there are a dozen or so more statues. Yeah, that was the only other thing that I thought, okay, I didn't see that coming. That's quite clever.
This felt, as you said, like a vehicle for Jack Whitehall to try and launch him maybe in the States. But he's doing a lot of physical comedy, and I don't think that's one of Jack Whitehall's sort of strong suits, really.
I think as well the supporting cast don't help him. I mean, obviously, the bits with his mother are okay, but his sister was totally formulaic. I don't like the actual...
Rosie Perez.
I don't like her at all.
No, she's got a bit of a weird face, hasn't she?
Yeah, it's not so much that. I don't like it. And they're trying to sort of build on the fact that, you've got the street tough American versus the posh boy Brit. It just doesn't come off.
The recurring gag with his electric car, which is just a bit silly, and it's a bit insulting to everyone who has these. That first where you meet him and he's in his electric car and he's parked in between two people and he has to let himself out through the boot.
One of the boots.
And then one of the cars drives off.
And they spent 5 minutes building up that gag, and it wasn't that funny.
Getting hit on the head with things and falling over and fainting.
And he keeps throwing up everywhere. I imagine that's going to be a gag for the pardon the pun. For the rest of the series, that when he sees something he doesn't like, he throws up because of some sort of medical condition that he's got. It was too long. I thought this should have been a half-hour show, and it was more the sort of 45-minute with adverts. I think there should have been a bit more explanation. I thought some of the jumps that they made were a little bit clunky. The way in which he found out that these things had come from ISIS was by standing and watching Sky News. It was just a bit too clunky for me. Yeah, and it wasn't really that funny.
There's no characters you really care about, though.
No.